Hello everybody, my name is Brian Kelley and welcome back to Talk of the Town. I have a very interesting show for you today. I was doing a little research. You see, my son goes to school up in Quebec, the university in Quebec, and my daughter is researching. She's a senior this year and she's researching where to go to school next year. And so she's exploring some of the universities in Quebec. And I had some questions. And so I contacted some of the Quebec delegation in Boston, and lo and behold, I'm put in contact with our special guest today. And so, folks, I want you to welcome to Talk of the Town, Maude Bourassa. Did I get it right?
Correct.
Hey, Maude, welcome to Talk of the Town.
Thank you.
Maude is here, and she works with an organization. Let's see, she works with the group of the Board of Presidents of the Universities of the Province of Quebec. And that's Canada, for those who don't know that. And so she's been traveling around the United States talking to different groups about the opportunities for higher education in Quebec. And so she's going to answer a lot of the questions that you might have. So before you touch the dial, okay, this program is going to help you if you have a student, either English or even a student in the French immersion, either or. And you might be looking for, looking at where you're going to go to university down the road, and you're not sure, and you're concerned. And another thing, if you're concerned about the cost of university education, stay with us, because you might find that the Quebec universities, and there's over 17 of them, are a great value for your money. And so we're going to find out. I'm going to ask you some questions. Matter of fact, Maude, I know you're going to do a presentation. I hope you can answer some of these questions. One of them is going to be immigration. What kind of papers do the students need if they're going to attend university in Quebec? What are the admission requirements of the Canadian universities, or the Quebec universities in particular? Cost. Is it cheaper to study in Quebec? Is there financial aid available for American students? What about housing? What about medical insurance while they're in the province? Do American students need to speak French? And I think some of you are going to be surprised that I think I can answer by that. You don't need to be able to speak French, but if you do, there's other opportunities also. If you want to learn French, there's some opportunities. If you haven't been in an immersion program and you want to learn French, there are some opportunities. And we'll touch on that in a little bit. How difficult would it be to transfer from a Canadian to an American university? So you're going to cover that for us too, right, Maude? Are American students studying in a Canadian university allowed to have a job while they're in Canada? And so again, this is an important program, not just for our French students in Milton, but also for the English-speaking students. Her organization that she represents is kind of equivalent to the New England Higher Board of Education, another organization on this side of the border. And they actually have some agreements that we're going to talk about that give people an opportunity to actually spend a year as in an exchange program. So there's a lot of opportunities and a lot of fun. So I know I went to a Canadian university. My wife went to a Canadian university. My son is in a Canadian university. And I think my daughter's going to go to a Canadian university. And, sometimes people think because they're less expensive that they might have a lower quality. Well, I just picked up, I got a copy of Success Magazine. I think it's just February 2013, and on the cover they have Elon Musk. And Elon Musk actually studied at the same university that my wife attended. So, and if you don't know who Elon is, I don't know if I'm saying his name right. He's from South Africa, but I believe his mom or dad was Canadian. And he is the gentleman that owns Tesla, the electric car company. He also is involved with a company called Space Exploration something, but the short name they called SpaceX. And matter of fact, they've been bringing payloads to the International Space Station. And he has a dream. This gentleman he's a billionaire, a very young billionaire. He was the one that brought PayPal into existence and sold that for quite a few dollars that helped him fund some of his other adventures. He also owns, I think, a company called Solar City. And so, there's a lot of people that have done a lot of great things in the world that have attended a Canadian or a Quebec university. So today, specifically, we're going to be talking about Quebec universities. And so, Maude, I'm going to throw it over to you, okay? So you can start with the little presentation. Folks, pay attention, and maybe you can learn something new, and maybe you can save some money and get a great education at the same time.
So I'm very glad you invited me today to participate in this show. Sorry about my accent. Quebec is a French province.
Don't be sorry. We love it.
So I'm a Francophone, so French speakers. This is my mother tongue. But Quebec focus a lot in different languages, second, third, and fourth languages. So people, they like to speak other languages, and that's in this context that I got this job at CREPUC, which is the Board of Presidents of Quebec University.
How do you say it again?
CREPUC.
I would say it, but
which is the Conference of Rectors and Principals of the Quebec Universities, if we use our terms in Quebec. So the rectors and principals are the presidents in the French universities and in the English universities. They have different terms. Okay. So I'm here today in the U.S., and I hope I'll try to give you all the information you're looking for to come and study to Quebec universities and get interested in what we have to offer to American students or French or African or wherever you come from, and so even if you're now in the U.S.
Excellent. And you just came, you're on a little whirlwind tour, right? We were just in Washington, D.C. and New York?
I've been in D.C., New York, now in Boston. We usually go to France because we have some proximity with the language.
Do you need help on the trip to France? I got next week off.
Let's talk again after the show.
Oh, good, okay. So if you don't see me next week, folks, you know where I am.
So I'll talk about different points. I'll try to explain you more about Quebec. Maybe you never came to Quebec before. So we have an excellent quality of life, very comparable to what you have here in the U.S. Let's talk about respect of environment, respect of neighbors, health public system, health education public system, where students, they pay for their education, but it's at the same time paid by the government. So it means that the student, they will respect their study environment, and there's great facilities for all the students. So there's a really great quality of life when we talk about Boston, DC, New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Toronto in Canada, or Vancouver. Let's talk about big cities in Quebec. The cost of living will be the less expensive in Quebec cities. Talking about Quebec is the province. So let's talk about renting an apartment. Students, they will pay in between $400 to $500 a month to have a rent, a decent room in a shared apartment, and with heating, lights, internet, cable, so they can live very
Wait,
very great.
They have internet in Canada?
Sure, we have internet, Wi-Fi, every access
You have cell phones
in the US.
too?
We have cell
Oh
phones.
my God, I thought it was just cold and snowy all the time.
It is not.
It doesn't snow in June?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. Good.
Maybe in March, like it is today in Boston, but it's the temperature is very comparable to what you have in Boston, in the north of U.S. In general.
Okay, good.
So to follow with the slides, so we talked about affordable cost of living, and it will be less expensive than living here in Boston or in any other cities in the U.S. Quebec is, as I said, the French province, and but we also live with a lot of cultures and languages surrounding the French and the English environment. We had some demographic and linguistic issues in the past, and we still have to preserve our French fact in the province because all the US are English and the rest of Canada is English also. So we receive every year with the Ministry of Immigration 50 to 55,000 new immigrants per year that they come mainly from French environment to bring to what we have, what we need, workforce also. And it means that everyone is welcome, and we want them to speak French, but we ask them also to speak English and to bring what they have in their own culture to give color to our cultures, and there's no segregation in
just
the
like
Quebec
I'm going to give some color to the show today.
So there's no segregation. Everyone lives well together, and there's lots of grocery stores from ethnic cultures, and there's movie theaters.
You have movie theaters in Quebec
Lots
too?
of restaurants, but I mean in
Restaurants?
this cultural aspect, I mean everyone is welcome, and we like them to bring their culture into ours.
Excellent, excellent.
So let's follow with the slide. The same slide again. So we have lots of festivals and cultural events. Since I said we are Francophone, we put a lot of money and lots of effort into cultural events. You might have heard about the Jazz Festival in Montreal or the Winter Carnival in Quebec, or any other famous festival that we have all around the territory in different provinces. We will see the map of Quebec.
You have some famous singers from Quebec, don't you?
Yeah, which one?
I don't know. You tell me. Who's from Quebec City?
There's one really
Celine?
famous.
Is it Celine?
For sure. So she's the most famous, but there's a lot that come to the U.S. and they become famous. Let's talk about Simple Plan, who's very famous for young people, and they come from Montreal, and they're Francophones, but they also speak in English, so this is a very bilingual environment.
And I think this month is Francophone month, isn't it?
Yeah, March is.
We're celebrating here. Okay.
Exactly.
Good.
So Quebec is participating with France, with lots of countries in Africa, lots of countries that they are not Francophone, but they are Francophile. So
what does that mean? They're not Francophone countries?
So they like French, and they try to follow the French countries, and they are open on the French world.
Okay, very good.
So for next slide, if we can follow on that, we have lots of, all the university cities are very safe. Let's compare to the criminal rates that you have in the U.S.
Hey, there's no gun violence or any problems like that in the United States. I don't know where you heard that.
We had our problems also in Canada, but let's say in talking about criminal rates, we have for sure very low criminal rates, lower than what. What is the population of Quebec? It's 8 million people.
How big is Quebec?
It's very
compared
huge.
to, say, Massachusetts.
Let's talk about 53 times the size of Massachusetts.
Wow.
So, and the population is very small. So there's
so there's room to breathe.
Still lots of place to welcome more students and more new immigrants. Let's talk about spectacular nature that we have. It's because we have lots of space in Quebec. The territory is very huge,
sure.
But we have to think that the north of Quebec is not very populated because the climate is not very welcoming to people. So
we get a lot of our energy, our power. We buy a lot of power from Quebec.
Sure.
From Quebec Hydro.
Yeah, we're really close with the border, so we export our power from the water energy.
Right.
And so if we go and talk about the features of the Quebec university system related to the map of Quebec, this is a very diversified university system where we find here the map of Quebec, and so you see in the north there's no university cities.
Because there's no people in the north.
There's very few people living there.
Just the Inuits, right? Are the Inuits up there?
Yeah, there's still some people living there, but when they want to study at university level, they have to move to a university city where there's more people living there. So
they want to go to the southern climates.
Southern climate.
The southern part of Quebec.
Exactly, but since it's 53 times the size of Massachusetts, from a west point to an east point, it's very far, long distance, like as you have in the U.S., so we can count from 14 to 16 hours driving from southwest to northeast. So the territory is very vast.
But for the people here in Boston, I mean, it's a 6-hour drive. I mean, most of the people that go to university, if they leave Massachusetts, they're a lot further away than if you send your child to Quebec. Because a lot of the big universities, especially if you go to Montreal anyways.
Exactly.
It's a little further. Quebec City is about 8 hours, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that. But it's not very far still. You can go in the west of U.S. and then you'll spend more time than coming to the next border in Quebec. So the university system is very diversified by the different university cities, how they are spread over the territory, but also with the languages which are spoken in every university. Some of them are French, 14 of them because the territory is officially French, but there is also because of the colonization of the British, we have also 3 English universities.
There are 3? There are 3 English universities?
One in Sherbrooke. So really,
what's the name of the one in Sherbrooke?
It's Bishop. It's next to the border. Yes. And there's also Concordia and McGill in Montreal City.
Okay.
And all the 14
A lot of the people around here have heard of McGill because a lot of students from Milton have and are attending McGill. It's kind of a popular destination.
Yeah, but there's a lot of university, and we have to think about the quality of the education given in Quebec. It's system of education is totally public, and so the quality of every diplomas that we give to students is the same all over the province, because we have lots of mechanism to ensure that the quality is given in every university. So we have the Ministry of Education and some insurance quality process held in CREPUC, the organism that I represent now.
It's interesting. I think in the American system, a lot of Americans are more hung up on the name of the university, where in Canada you don't have that so much. It's more just get a good education.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
There's no ranking. For sure, there's some universities that appear on the international rankings, but it's not about ranking our universities. One is better than the other one. There's no best university and there's no worst university. They're all the same. Some of them, they are more specialized in some fields, because they have the workforce and some geographical how can I say? For example, in Rimouski, they will be close to the sea, and they will offer some biology, and they will have some platforms, research platforms to go to the Arctic, and so they develop an expertise related to where.
You might have more environmental studies and things like that.
Exactly,
okay.
But it doesn't mean that all the other universities they don't offer that. They also offer that, but they developed other specializations. So we talked about the territory, about languages, but there is also different sizes in the universities. Some of them are very small because they're, let's say they offer only one faculty. Let's talk about engineering or business, marketing, management. And some other, they will be big. They will have administration, they will have engineering, they will have law, social sciences, medical schools. So they will offer lots of different faculties, lots of different diplomas, and they will receive 40 to 50,000 students in their universities. So there is lots of choices, up to 8,000 diplomas offered in our universities for undergrad school, and for graduate and postgrad there is 1,400 programs offered in our universities. So there's lots of choices.
And so just a reminder, so to the folks who are watching, your child doesn't have to be studying French in order to be successful and to be able to attend a Canadian university. There are some options for English-only speaking students. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. So English university will teach in English, and French university, they will teach in French. Some of the programs are bilingual, but very few of them. Most of them are concentrated in administration, business, marketing programs. So the population of the Quebec students is about 285,000 students, which is comparable to the population that we have, 8 million people in Quebec. And we received 28,000 international students. 3,000 of them are coming from the U.S., so they have
3,000?
Okay. So they have the U.S. passport. The majority of them, they come from France because with the proximity of the language. But we are more than arms open to any students coming from different countries, Americans, but also coming from outside the U.S.
Okay.
So this is the list of the 17 universities. If students, they want to browse online and to go on the websites to see what kind of programs they offer each of these universities, then these are universities that work with foreign students, and they will be very glad to answer all the questions you might have.
Does Quebec have its own on the internet? You know how like you might have .com and stuff. I know a lot of Canadian websites have .ca.
For Canada.
And what do you have for Quebec? Does Quebec have its own like what do you have?
It's .ca, but we have also .qc.ca for some organisms, but not for universities. It's mostly for the government, government fields that use the qc.ca. So most of them, they use .com or .ca.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. So next slide, please. So we have, as I said, great facilities because the students, they pay fees. They pay tuition fees. International students, they pay tuition fees, but Quebec students, they also pay tuition fees. So it's public, but they have to pay for it, up to 20% of what is the cost of university year. So it means that we have money to have recent and safe campuses, high-tech laboratories, libraries very well furnished with books, and network together. So it means if you study in one university, let's say Rimouski or Chicoutimi or Gatineau, and the book you would like to have is only in Quebec or in Montreal, then you can ask it from your university, from Laval or Montreal, and then they'll send it to you in Rimouski, Chicoutimi, or Gatineau where you study. You'll borrow it there, you'll give it back there, and they will send it back totally for free
There's only one problem, though.
What?
I know they're all connected and you can order the book for it, but with the Canadian Postal Service, it takes about 3 months to get there. I'm just kidding. They have e-books.
No, but not as long as this. But students are the same everywhere in the world, so you don't have to give back your work paper on the next day, because for sure you'll have a lack of time. But you have to be to prepare well your stuff and at least have 3 weeks to write your essay or whatever you have to.
Well, yeah, I have to say that, folks, I mean, the Canadians, it's a wonderful place. I got to say, my son lost his wallet and his cell phone in Montreal, and a month later, we received it in the mail. They mailed it back to Massachusetts. Someone paid, I mean, that's like unheard of around here, you know what I mean? Are those people crazy? I'm telling you, he got all of his stuff back, his phone and his wallet. So it's just he has lost his wallet twice in Canada, and both times he's gotten it back. And I'm talking with the money still in it. I mean, it's just amazing. So Canadians are great people. So I'm biased. I'm married to a Canadian. What can I tell you?
We're glad that the American has they have this overview of Quebec, of Canada. That we're great people. We're very good partners together. We're great partners, commercial partners, and education partners, and political partners. Yeah.
Very nice.
So for next
slide, Mike.
Slide. So affordable education. How much cost a year studying in Quebec? It's in between $12,000 to $15,000 a year, which is about the in-state tuition fees that students might pay here in the U.S. We'll come back with the student exchange program after, but that's what costs an education independent of where you go and what you study. That's what you'll have to pay to study in Quebec. The Ministry of Education of Immigration, they will ask you to give you all the papers to come legally on the territory. They will ask you to have $11,000 to survive, let's say survive in Quebec. So have a rent, go to grocery store, hang out on the weekend.
Go to pubs. Oh, no. Oh,
that's what I said.
Did I mention that the drinking? No, parents, I know you can't envision this, but 18 is the drinking age up there. Yeah. I know my son has been to a pub. But I will say this, there's a lot of concern about drinking underage in this country at the universities, and many a student has been kicked out of a university residence in the States because they had a can of beer or something in the room. And so a refreshing side of it is like, my son can have beer in his room if he wants. So it becomes not a big deal. You know what I mean? It doesn't become a distraction. It is what it is. And obviously they have to learn to drink responsibly. But it's not, they don't have to go through that hiding or anything. If that's what if they want to have a drink, they can. So again, it doesn't become that little sneaky thing that you have to do. It's like no big deal. And so it's kind of, you might consider that an advantage, you may not, but it is what it is.
So the ministry will ask you $11,000. So it can be by the parents or by the student himself, but they have to prove this, because we'll come back talking about, can we work on the territory? We can work, but for now, after completing 1 year of study. So that's why I say you have to survive.
After 1 year of study, you are able to get like a working visa? Is that what they... Now, see, I went to school in Canada, and I worked kind of like what we say, under the table, like under the radar. It was like... And then because it started to get stricter, and technically I couldn't work because I was not a Canadian, and you needed a visa. Sorry, Mike, hitting the mic. You need a visa to be able to work. So that's great news.
That's great news.
Wow.
Yeah, and for health and hospitalization, I know that here in the U.S. you spend a lot of money to get insurance for health. In Quebec, we ask the international students to contract health insurance in Quebec, and it cost about more or less $1,000 a year for 2012 and 2013. It was.
That's a deductible for one visit down here.
Yeah, I know. And you have full cover for everything that might happen, any hospitalization you might need, or any appointment at the clinical for a little flu or whatever you can have. So you'll be covered for everything.
Very nice.
Yeah, if we can be back.
This has been very good, Maude. Are you having fun?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
And there's possible financial assistance, but it's more for the research level. Let's talk about graduate and postgrad studies, as it is also for the U.S. But
so keep in mind, folks, you know, not just for your undergrad, you can get your graduate studies here.
Sure. So there's also some of the university who are part of the FAFSA financial aid program in the U.S. So they can benefit coming and study in Quebec and benefits from this financial aid program from the U.S. So this is another way of financing their studies.
Nice.
As well as working.
So if they borrow money from the U.S. government, they'll allow them to use it in a Canadian university.
Sure. So next slide, please. So how is it possible if you're now interested in coming really to a Quebec university? You have two different choices.
Maude, how could they not be interested? They can meet nice French Canadian girls. Come on. I mean, I know the guys are interested anyways watching the show.
But now they know where Quebec is, which language we speak.
Where is it? North? North.
Up north, yeah. So the first opportunity for them will be do a student exchange program if they register to a university here in the U.S. As you said, there's the NEB, the New England Higher Board of Education. That is part, which is like CREPUC, a regroupment of different universities, and they have signed an agreement with our organization, CREPUC, and so they can benefit of 6 months up to a year of study in Quebec in any of the 16 universities out of 17. There's one who's not participating.
There's always one in the group, you know.
Yep. And so they can come and study and get a report card from a Quebec university and go back to their university in the U.S. and finish their diploma and get an American diploma, having the benefits of student exchange program and experience abroad. So this is very interesting for them. So there's the CREPUC program, and there's also bilateral agreements, which is, it's the same thing for the students, 6 months to a year studying in Quebec, but the agreement will be different. It will be between a specific American university and a specific Quebec university.
Okay.
And the second opportunity for them is if they are in the 12th grade, 11th grade, and they are thinking in coming to Quebec, then next slide, please. It will be to come and complete a full degree in a Quebec university. So after their high school diploma, they will inform themselves on the bachelor's program to offer in our universities, and they have to be sure that the program they would like to do over there is open to available for international students. Some of them in the health sciences, veterinary, dentistry are totally to partially closed, so they have really to be
because they're highly funded by the Quebec government.
Exactly.
And to train a dentist who's going to leave that system and come work in the United States doesn't help the people in the province of Quebec.
So they try to put the education system and the health system together to be sure we don't have any lack. And after, the student just have to fill a form online on the website of the university, and it's like taking 15 minutes, 20 minutes. They don't have any motivation letters to write, any reference letters, any
no
ECP,
essays, no essays. Oh,
nothing.
So your child doesn't like to write essays. I'm telling you. See, you tune in to Talk of the Town, you get all the secrets here. I'm telling you.
We want it to be simple, and at the same time, we evaluate a lot the great marks. So if we see on the next slides, what are the general process of admission? Everything is based on the academic excellence. So we will look basically to the 3 last years of study of the student. It means how well he worked in the high school and what are his marks, and can he get into the program he's asking for? Does he have the enough marks to succeed in our program?
And sometimes I believe that even if if the grades are a little, struggling a little bit, they might allow them to go into maybe not the program that they have the highest interest in, but let them into another program that doesn't have as strict a requirement, and then they can transfer into the other program if they do well and they prove that they can handle the material.
Sure. So everything is based on the academic excellence.
You sound like my wife, sure.
But some programs, they might ask for specific admissions requirement. Let's say you want to do arts, and they might ask you for a portfolio. If you want to do music, they might...
Why would they want a portfolio? I'm a good artist, trust me.
But they want to know before
they
to accept you.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And they will need to speak the language. So if they did their high school diploma in English and they want to get in a French university, the university, they have different requirements, but they might ask to do a home exam or international French test with a minimum requirements of
which is good because it helps the student know if they have enough of an understanding of the French language in order to study in French.
But if they don't have enough, then the university will say you can do this French class and then you'll get up to the level of the French people there and you'll be able to follow the programs.
Gotcha. So a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, for sure. And if you did your high school diploma in English, for sure you can integrate the English schools in
and there's three
Quebec.
of those?
Three of those.
Bishops, Concordia, and McGill.
Yeah.
Okay.
For next slide, please. So this is the system in Quebec. Before getting to the university in Quebec, we complete in Quebec, for Quebec students, we complete 13 years of study, which here in the US, before to get your high school diploma, you have 12 years of study.
We're fast learners.
It makes a little gap that might bring one more requirements for some students who might choose a bachelor in applied science or engineering. The universities, they might ask you for 1 year preparation more to get onto the level of the Quebec students. But most of the programs, they are offered in 3 years. So it's 1 year less than what you have here in the US. Let's say law, social sciences.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? 3 years. That's only 3 years of tuition. You understand what I'm talking about? We're saving you. Matter of fact, by watching Talk of the Town, you're making money today.
But let's say for the bachelors in applied sciences and engineering, they are 4 years program, and they general requirement, they ask for American students or Canadian students coming from outside Quebec or from any other countries in the world who only finished 12 years of study. They will ask them 1 more year of preparation to get onto this 13 years of study.
Okay, but then I see on there masters. So then how many more years does it take? Only 1 more year to get your master's?
No, if you do a bachelor in 4 years, then if you want to follow to graduate programs, it's 2 years more.
But if you do it in 5 years because you didn't, if you're engineering, still 2 more years?
Yeah, 2 more years for masters, and after a bachelor of 3 years also, if you want to follow to master, then it will be 2 years more, and then 3 years or 5 or 7 years for PhD, all depending on how fast you are.
And you have your PhD, don't you?
No, I have a master.
Not yet. Oh, you have your master's?
Yeah.
What's your master's in?
In international relations.
Why would you be in Massachusetts talking about the Quebec system if you only studied international relations? What a country, huh? See, it paid off for you, Maude, right?
Next slide, please. So, as I said, the principle of general admission for our universities is having their high school diploma, so having completed the 12th grade, and for some programs, they will ask you for 1 year preparation in Quebec. So, but it will be for engineering or applied science, these 4 years program, which will bring the students to study for 5 years after their 12th grade.
Okay, excellent.
Next slide.
Here's a question. There are some people that in the States that don't have a high school diploma. They have what is called a high school equivalency. They take tests or something to get their high school equivalency. Are they considered?
The university, they will study the diploma that the student got and what they studied and what are the marks. And so with the academic excellence of the diploma, they will study and they will say, you have to do this first, or yes, you are accepted. So it can vary from one university to another. Okay. So it's on behalf of the university.
So it's not a uniform policy among all the Quebec universities. So if you maybe don't get into one Quebec university, that doesn't mean you should give up trying, and
No.
another one may accept you.
Any person can make an application to one university, then to a second one and a third one, and pay the fees that apply.
How much is the application fee at a Quebec university?
It varies to $30 to $60, $70, but it's not a big amount of money to put all your chance to come to study in Quebec. So, for example, for a communication program in one university, they might ask you for example, let's say 70%, and for another one, it will be to have your high school diploma, and in another one, they might ask you 90% of average. So it can vary a lot because there's a lot of, it's autonomous of the university in putting what are the requirements to get into any of the programs they offer.
So the system is, there's a lot of funding from the Quebec government, but the Quebec government allows each university to be autonomous.
Yep, exactly. So for the next slide, if you have any information after this presentation, we invite you to go to quebecuniversities.ca, which we are trying to merge this website into a new one. So we invite you to go back in June and July. You can have it look now, but let's come back in June and July. You'll have a more interactive platform. Yeah, exactly.
Excellent.
So if you apply before February 1st or March 1st, depending on the programs and depending to the university, once you get your letter application acceptance from the university in end of April or beginning of May generally, then you have to
the acceptance is a little later than the U.S. Yep. So I know, like, my daughter has been accepted to some American universities, so she might have to kind of put a deposit down on one of those while we're waiting to hear from the Canadian universities.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just kind of like giving yourself a little protection, you know what I mean, in case you don't get what you want.
So once you get this acceptance letter and you have a valid passport, you have to ask to the Quebec government if they allow you to come on the territory.
You have to say please?
Yeah. And you ask for the Quebec acceptance certificate that we call the CAQ. So you ask them, and you have to prove your financial proof of $11,000, and then they'll give you this CAQ. And then once you get the CAQ, you ask for the Canadian study permit to the federal government of Canada. And then they give you this Canadian study permit, and then you can just travel and come and study in Quebec.
Very nice.
And as I said, you can work on or off the campus. After completing 1 year of study, if you want to work off the campus, up to 20 hours a week. And during summer vacation, you can work full-time, so 40 hours a week.
Wow, very nice. Excellent. Well, this has been fabulous. I think you answered all our questions, too.
I hope I answer all the questions, but I think you asked something about housing previously in the show that I haven't answered.
Well, you did mention that the cost, at least in some of the Canadian major cities, like Quebec City and Montreal, that the cost of an apartment is very reasonable. You said $400 or $500 for a basic accommodations. That's fabulous, you know. I know my son is going to be looking for an apartment, and he has no fear about finding one. He says, oh, they're all over the place, and he's been in some of them, and he thought they were all great. I know in the Boston area, it's quite expensive for a student to get, and they have to put a whole bunch of them in there, you know, and everything. So from my perception, it's very reasonably priced in the housing.
But I hope we can recruit more American students in our university because, as I said, there's only about 3,000.
Which is not a lot.
No,
for
it's
a neighboring.
Not a lot. And it's North American education in a European environment, which is really different from other provinces in Canada. And you have a really unique context, different architecture, different way of living, and then you can really enjoy yourself in our province.
Well, and also we were talking a little bit before the show that, you know, learning French, even if it's in an exchange program, or you go up to school and you take some kind of an immersion program prior to getting your bachelor degree. The you know, organizations like NATO, United Nations, the World Bank, the Olympic Committee, all these organizations, you know, do a lot of their business in French.
Sure. So,
and then I also, I know on some of the, is that what you call them, the applied sciences, like is that engineering and things like that? Is it, you may have your classes in French, but a lot of the textbooks are English based.
Really? Yeah.
So, so having the ability to speak English is a tremendous advantage for some of the American students that would be going to Quebec. Obviously, if they know French too, it enhances their whole world view and world understanding. So this has been fabulous. You know, I wanted you to come because we have such a large number of students that do study French in the Milton schools, but we also have a large number that learn Spanish and things like that. But just knowing English is the main thing that can give them a tremendous edge in Quebec. You know?
Exactly. But and after, when the students, they complete a full degree in Quebec, they can stay on the territory in Quebec to get a first job experience, build their resume, and then come back to the U.S.
Wait a minute. So, all right. I'm not a Canadian. I'm an American, okay? I go up, I study in Quebec. I complete my studies. I get my bachelor's degree. I can stay a little bit longer and work still?
Yeah, exactly. So
wow.
you get your job experience.
What a country. I say about what a country here. I'm going to say, how do you say what a country in French?
Mais quel pays?
Mais quel pays? Come on, folks, look at this. Okay, good. What a country. What a province, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so
exactly.
how long can they continue to work in Canada after they receive their degree?
If they came to study and they got their diploma for 3 years, they studied for 3 years, let's say sociology or history, and they can remain on the territory for 3 years. Or if they study for 4 years, they can remain for 4 years.
For an equal amount. So whatever the number of years that they study, they can stay for that equal amount. Okay.
Yeah. Without having any papers, legal papers of immigration. Or
by that time, they've fallen in love with a Canadian, and now they can stay forever if they want.
And then if they want to stay, if they fall in love or they fell in love with the country, with the province, then they have a fast track for immigration if they want to immigrate to Quebec.
So even if they don't marry a Canadian, there still is an opportunity to immigrate to Canada just because they have studied and worked there for X number of years.
Because they're a good workforce for us, because they got a diploma from our universities and they got integrated. They speak French, they speak English, they speak both. And so they become very interesting for us.
And, you know, there's a lot of opportunities. There's still a lot of industry up in Quebec. Quebec is a kind of a... They're kind of booming compared to a lot of economies right now. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that the recession hasn't hit them, but they still have a lot of industry. I'm amazed when I drive into Quebec and I see the manufacturing and the different things that are happening there. So, I mean, we buy a lot of our transportation. Is it Bombardier? Is it that? Is that
Bombardier, yeah.
How do you say it?
Bombardier.
Bombardier, okay. And the trains, right? We buy trains and buses and things. And do they make airplanes there too? Is there?
Yeah, and they do skidoo.
Skidoo. So there's a lot of things happening in Quebec. So there is opportunity. So, and it's nice to be able to go both sides of the border. Mm-hmm. And then we can talk to the Quebec business delegation in Boston that can help if you're a business person after you get your education up there and you want to start. You know, and we have the free trade agreement, right? So there's some opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So maybe we can discuss those on another visit sometime. Maybe we'll get some of your other countrymen.
So if you got interested and you have other questions, I invite you to go to quebecuniversities.ca or to contact directly any of the universities you might be interested in. So they will make a pleasure for them to answer all of your questions. And I hope we'll see you in Quebec.
And will Celine come and sing at the university?
Oh, she sometimes comes, and she did some free concerts in the past year, so you might have your opportunity.
There you go. There you go. All right, folks. Well, listen, I hope you gained some insight today and learned a little bit about the Quebec, Province of Quebec university system and some of the opportunities there. You might be frustrated looking at what your options are here in this country and the expense of that And even if that's not the reason, you don't have to go to Quebec University just because it might cost you less money. There are other reasons to go there. They're quality education, and you know, it's not all about. Sometimes you can spend a lot more and not get as good an education. So, hey, I was educated in Canada, so you know it's going to have a great education system. All right, my wife was too. So, but anyways, Maude Bourassa.
Yep.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for being on Talk of the Town, and I wish you well in your travels, and I hope you recruit lots of Americans to go to Canada.
Thank you for inviting.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, folks, and for enjoying another wonderful edition of Talk of the Town, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.